Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 22 of Moriarty the Patriot, The Two Criminals. I'm really excited about this, but before we start, I have to make note, somehow I missed that there was an end credit scene in episode 18, way back in episode 18. What? I'm recording a little bit ahead, and so I want to give note to G. Malika. G. Malika on YouTube was like, did you watch the after credit scene in episode 18? And I was like, wait, what? So I need to double check now and make sure there's no after credit scene. I usually just stop because I know the preview's at the end of the ED, but apparently there's an after credit scene in episode 18. I missed it. We didn't talk about it on Patreon, so I was like, it's fine. And then they brought it up. I was like, oh. So I went back and watched it. I was like, oh, let me go see it. And basically what it was at the end of episode 18, it was Moriarty William suggesting that Milverton's a threat and that if you get Milverton cornered, get rid of him, kill him, get Milverton out of the picture. So William knows that Milverton's after him and he's a threat. And he's got his court record. They talk about that in the after credit scene. So William Moriarty's like, just nix Milverton, get him out of there. Which is nice because it sets up in episode 18 for 19 and 20, it sets up the attitude of Moriarty with Milverton. They just don't like him and they know he's bad news. And then in this last episode, we got from Sherlock's perspective how Sherlock knows Milverton's bad news. So he's like, nope, can't deal with this guy. So yeah. So it's good. I'm glad you told me about that, G. Malika. I'm glad you told me about that after credit scene. I will make sure to check. Now, I don't think there was one for 19 or 20. Or 21. I don't think there's after credit scenes for any of those. But I'll be checking from here on with the last 3 episodes to make sure there's not an after credit scene. So thank you for letting me know. But yeah, I didn't have a lot. There wasn't a big discussion with episode 21 because I felt like it was a very self-contained episode. I felt like most of the discussion I wanted to make, I made during the reaction. And then we talked about it again, but it was really just a self-contained story that got across the point of 1, Watson's getting married to Mary. 2, Mary is actually not a bad person, but she's being blackmailed by Milverton. And so Sherlock has a stake in all of this. Milverton is meddling with the lives of his best friend and his future wife. And so Sherlock's like, okay, time to step in. And it's so funny that Sherlock and Moriarty both have beef with Milverton. It's like, how fitting. So that's where we are. We got 3 episodes left. I'm not ready for this series to end. I've been polling Patreon on what they wanted me to do with the manga, and so probably next episode I'll tell y'all what we end up with as far as that goes. Or I'll tell y'all when we get to the season finale. I'll let y'all know what we decide on Patreon to do about the manga. So if you're on Patreon, then you guys will probably see my post about that. But I'll let you guys know at the season finale. I'm going to be reading the manga. It's a question of what I'm going to be doing with the manga. And so in the season finale, I'll tell you all about it. But yeah. So this episode's called The Two Criminals. I'm thinking the 2 criminals are Moriarty and Sherlock, is what I think. I think that Milverton's going to try to frame Sherlock up as a criminal to get him out of the picture, and then while he's still pursuing Moriarty. So I feel like Sherlock and Moriarty are going to be framed as the 2 criminals, but I don't know. So let's not waste any more time, shall we? We are going to start episode 22 of Moriarty the Patriot, and we're going to start it here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. I am stunned. I am stunned by this episode so much. What the hell was this? What? Oh my gosh. Okay, so first of all, this, the last episode was fine. It was a nice little, standalone episode. It was great. It was like, oh, that was really fun. That was great. And I liked Adam Whiteley and his story. It was a nice 2-parter. It framed Milverton up to show how bad Milverton is. But this episode was like, took the crank of the dial and was like, you want to go up to like a 12? What the hell? This episode was bonkers. And oh God, we have 2 more episodes and I'm so conflicted. Oh my God. Yeah, Sherlock, I'm not going to let you have your way. Oh my God. Okay. Catch me if you can, Sherlock. The way he said Sherlock was like so seductive. I was like, okay. Okay, Saitosoma. Sure, say that. It's even better than Mr. Holmes. Sherlock. Yeah, so this episode had so much going on, and I feel like there's a big, several of you have noted throughout the course of this series, several of you have said in the comments, both on Patreon and on YouTube, y'all have said, you're like, look, there are parts that have been left out from the manga in this anime. This anime has cut a lot from the manga, like whole arcs. And I'm like, okay. I felt like that. I haven't felt like that with most of the series, though. For the most part, the series doesn't feel like there's parts left out. You wouldn't know unless you're a manga reader, right? This was the first episode where I did feel like when they showed up at the house and the gang was all there already facing off against Milverton's men. At that moment, I felt like, okay, that feels like a whole arc was cut out from the manga that we haven't seen. That's what it felt like. And that's the first time that that's happened in this series. We made 22 episodes without it happening, but for the first time, I was like, okay, I definitely feel like something's been left out. I get that impression. I was like, okay, gotcha. And yeah, you definitely, because they all just show up and they're already there. I was like, who's firing off gunshots? And it was Moran versus the redhead. So I feel like there's a whole big chunk of the manga that's been left out that when I go back and read, that's going to be exciting, because I'm glad I watched the post-credit scene for episode 18 now, because it set up that William was like, no, Milverton's got to go. He's got to die. We can't let him live. Because as we've established in episodes 19 and 20, when they killed Sam, Milverton will go to any length to get what he wants, even if it's killing people. He doesn't care. So it's like, okay, if he's willing, because like William said, once you kill a man, it's not easy to do it. It's not hard to do it again. And that is so, God, that goes back to when Moriarty and Sherlock first met again in that graveyard scene where Sherlock had the option to kill the man and he didn't in front of Watson. He made Watson go away this time because he's like, I'm going to kill him. He made Watson go away so that Watson wouldn't stop him. And William let him do it. And William being sad and lamenting it. We're going to talk about that. But oh my gosh, Sherlock Holmes, he ain't Batman. He ain't afraid to kill somebody. Apparently, when he's up against a wall, he's like, there's no option left. So it was kind of like Sherlock did it so that Moriarty didn't have to do it. Almost, too. And that Sherlock wanted... But also, there's another reason behind it, and we're going to get to that. But this episode... God, this episode was great. This may be my favorite episode of the whole series so far. This may be my favorite episode of the whole series so far. It's just so good. But yeah, so the whole thing with Mary is that she was a sheltered girl that wanted to go and see the outside world. And so she wanted to go to a university in Paris, and she found this world of freedom that she didn't have in her sheltered life. And she got swept up in the revolution. All the kids were canvassing across campus, and they had all these pamphlets. And they're like, hey, you want to help us hand out pamphlets? And she's like, sure. And so, she did what she thought was something very, just an act of fervor and patriotism. And it turned out to be inside there was people that were actually causing violence that she didn't know was going to happen. And she's like, all I did was hand out leaflets. That was it. But unbeknownst to her, the organization's officers were planning to engage in subversive activities. And she's like, I didn't even know. And then that's when Milverton shows up on her doorstep. And Milverton finds out that she's engaged to Watson. And that's why so basically Milverton's like, I wonder if there's any dirt on this girl. I wonder if this girl has any dirt that I can use to get close to Sherlock. And he finds out about the pamphlet. And it's something so simple, but yet in this time and place, if the French government finds out, they may try to take her away and imprison her. And that would ruin Watson and her's marriage. And Sherlock's like, damn it, how dare you? And yeah, I love the visual of Milverton in this. He's the king of blackmail. And I love the visual that Sherlock has in his mind where it's this like sickly, poisonous purple. And it's like a snake. Like he's this corrupt vermin. And it shows like all the people like in this sickly purple pink glow, like choking and drowning. He's awful. So yeah, he just basically found the most dirt he could to put on Mary to try to get them to bring Sherlock to him, or to bring him to Sherlock. And Sherlock's like, damn it, this guy is trash. And now we're involved with him. Like he like William Moriarty knows exactly how dangerous he is. And Sherlock's like, well, now my best friend's involved, and him and his wife are going to be separated, and it's all because of this jackass and what he's doing, so how do I take him down? And as soon as Milverton was like, oh, I've got the original copy in my mansion under safekeeping, and Sherlock's like, you're just going to lure us there. And he has all these guards and everything surrounding his carriage, and it's black. Like, Milverton is so slimy. Ugh, no thank you. And yeah, just thinks that he just thinks he has the upper hand in all of this. And I love that when he shows up, Mrs. Hudson has like the little iron. She's ready to like take the spoon and beat him with it. Watson looks like he's about to throw down. Mary looks terrified and she faints. And Sherlock's just like, God, this guy. And so, yeah, he asks for the verification. He gives it. Milverton. And even his hair is like snaky. It's all like curly and twisted. Poor Watson. And Watson's such a pure sugar bean that he just can't understand how horrible this bastard can be. And, oh, God, it's so ghastly. And he just gives them enough information to goad them. Yeah. He's like, once I leave the hotel, if you don't have my treasure, my money, then I'll just expose all this to Mary. He's like, I don't care if I ruin your lives. Bye. I'm very curious at the redhead that called him Milverton-sama. Like, he seemed like he was so loyal to him. And I feel like there's something in the manga with him that we don't know about. I'm curious when I go read it. I'm sure I'll find out, But yeah, Sherlock's like, this guy's the real deal. He doesn't care about ruining people's lives. It's what he does for a living. I feel like it's important that he's the head of the media. This house that he lives on, though, man, the setup of it, it's so great because it's just built on the edge of the house. It's funny because if you look, there's trees on either side of it, and it's built up around it, and it's on the edge of a cliff. So it's very fitting for somebody that's paranoid because there's literally only one way in and one way out. You can't go out to the sides because of the trees. You can't go through the back because of the cliffside. So it's literally once you go in, you have to go out the same way. And it's something that somebody, if they were paranoid about being, sniped or trying to be getting trespassers and stuff, you'd set it up that way so that wouldn't happen. It's very deliberate. But it ends up being his undoing because he can't escape except out through the window into the ocean, and that's when Sherlock shoots him. Still can't believe Sherlock shot him. I thought Moriarty was going to. I thought that William was going to shoot him. But no. And so then, yeah. And Watson, I love this moment here where Sherlock's like, I'll handle everything and steal the evidence. He's like, don't follow me. Don't come with me. And I do think that Sherlock was, in all intents and purposes, he did not want to bring Watson along. He was like, nope, I'm going to go do this. I'll be back. And Watson's like, you handle everything. He's like, don't be ridiculous, Sherlock. He's like, I'm coming with you. I gotta see this. This is my wife we're talking about, And I love, he's like, the matter is one of mine and Mary's to begin with. And I like Sherlock's like, what? Like he didn't expect Watson to have this big reaction. He's like, excuse me? And Watson's like, we're partners, aren't we? Side by side, both solving riddles and going to prison. And Sherlock's like, are you listening to yourself here, bud? And Sherlock's like, dude, I don't want to share a jail cell with you. You need to be married, right? Not sharing jail time with me, which is why he sends him away. He doesn't want him to get caught up in it. He's like, no, Watson, I'm going to send you away to get the police because otherwise you'll be an accomplice. And he's like, I'm not going to ruin your life. But again, that goes back to that earlier episode where Watson's like, I can't believe you would take a life or consider it. And that's not something that my partner would do. And Sherlock did it here. And Watson's like, and Sherlock, I'm sure Sherlock was saying, he's like, I did it to help you, but he's like, I would have done it anyway because he was threatening, William too. I don't know if he's going to tell Watson that William is the Lord of Crime. I don't know if he's going to spill that to Lestrade or anybody. I don't think he will because he wants to catch him. He said that in the episode. He wants to be the one to catch him. And he's like, I have a gift when it comes to crime as well. Sherlock is, I say chaotic good, but it's almost like he's chaotic neutral, really. He's kind of the same as Moriarty. He's kind of chaotic neutral as well, right? Because Moriarty does really bad things, but he organizes it to benefit others. So it's not truly evil. And Sherlock is on the side of Lestrade and the law, but here in this episode, he's like, I have a gift for crime, and I'm not afraid to kill a man, and I'll do what needs to be done. And it's a little more gray than I think we've seen other iterations of Sherlock. But yeah, it kind of goes back to BBC Sherlock. If you've seen BBC Sherlock, I think Milverton's a character in that one too. He is. No, actually he is. He's in the 3rd season. And in that season, spoilers, if you've not seen the BBC Sherlock, just skip 30 seconds ahead. But in that season, Sherlock shoots Milverton too. He does, and Mycroft gets him out of it. So I'm wondering if Mycroft's going to get him out of it in this case too. If Mycroft's going to be like, baby brother, you shot somebody, but this guy was a total douche lord, so stop. Yeah, because that's exactly what happens. Sherlock kills Milverton in the BBC version. He shoots him because he's left with no choice. Just like Milverton leaves him with no choice either. And Sherlock's like, screw you. And in that, oh my God, I forgot that was Milverton in that season. Because in that season too, he targets Mary. Wow, okay. Yep, there we go. Should have seen that one coming. But yeah, and in that scenario, Mycroft gets him out. So that's the question. Mycroft and Albert are going to get him out or not. If William's worried about him, I don't know. But that gift of crime, saying I'm not afraid to sneak in and do what needs to be done. So yeah, the idea, there's like literally an assault and a siege on this house. And he realizes in that moment, he realizes the Lord of Crime is there. He put it all together. He's like, oh, wait. He's like, they're here as well. So that's what this is. They're all trying to fight him too. He's like, I misread the situation. And that's why he's like, you need to go back and fetch the police and get out of here because I don't want you to be involved. Mm-hmm. And he says he's going to stay there and survey, but it's like, Watson, you should have known. Sherlock was not just going to sit there and listen. Mm-mm. And Watson trusted him, but... And he says, right. He didn't promise him. He was just like, right, hurry along now. You should have known. Should have known. But yeah, he goes in the back door. It was all too easy. It was all set up to trap him there. Like Milverton set this whole thing up thinking, oh, I'm going to bring Sherlock up here where I have William at gunpoint and William has me at gunpoint and I'm going to make you two fight each other and I'm going to get off scot-free. Like one of you's probably going to die, but it doesn't matter because either way, I'm going to be all right. It's probably going to be, he probably assumed that Holmes was going to arrest Moriarty or Moriarty was going to shoot Holmes. What he didn't realize was that these boys met on a boat. They met on the Noatic and knew each other from long ago and had a beautiful relationship started. Milverton misread the situation. He didn't know the power of love, damn it, and did not realize what all he just signed up for. And then Milverton's such a slimy villain. He's like, I'll just explain it from the top. I'll just reveal my hand to you since I've so over and outsmarted you and overpowered you. And Holmes is like, what? But yeah, Holmes is like, that's not necessary. You certainly do operate in a tortuously roundabout way, Milverton. Oh my gosh. And yeah, and Sherlock's like, there's no way that they're going to get out of this. So if I don't kill you, Mary's going to get blackmailed and taken by the government. There was no resolution. You just wanted to lure me here. It's so slimy. And then, yeah, he's like, so at the time, I don't think Holmes at the time realized who the Lord of Crime was because he'd never seen his face. And Holmes is like, you got him to come here in a similar fashion. You lured him here, right? And Milverton's like, yep, you got me. And you likely have a fair guess as the reason why I summoned you here. Your part in this, which is that you are going to arrest the man who stands before you. And he's in the shadows. Allow me to introduce you. And then the greatest criminal in the entire British government. And the lightning flashes. Oh my gosh. The Lord of Crime. And William's face, he's just like, damn it. There he is. Oh my gosh. I love this. From here on in, this episode is amazing. From the midpoint on, it's just like, I was speechless. My jaw was on the floor. I was like, are you kidding me? And Holmes looks so... The look on his face is just like, so it's been you all... It's this weird combination of it's been you this whole time and he's happy it's been him this whole time. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, he says it later, but it's this look on his face like disbelief, but also relief. Like, he's like, it is you, okay? Like, almost like he'd had like an inkling in the back of his head that it could have been him, and he was proven right in this moment, and he's like, damn it, I hate being right. But his face, Professor, and he just looks, and William has that, like, twinge to his eye. He's like, damn it, I didn't want you to know this way. As they both have the guns pointed at Milverton. It's a shame there are no spectators to this comedy. The symbols of London's light and darkness are present and accounted for. Oh, I love that they're London's light and darkness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Lewis is fighting this wannabe Fred that's on Milverton's side, and God, and that guy knew that Sherlock was getting lured up there, and the redhead's fighting Moran, and Fred somehow got assigned to fighting the giant juggernaut. I love how that, I thought it was Moran that was going to be fighting the juggernaut, but no, it's Fred of all people. Again, I feel like stuff is happening in the manga that we aren't privy to. And Lewis is like, wait, what? Holmes is here? My brother's BF is here? Hold on. What now? His crush is here? And Albert's not present, which I don't know what Albert would do in this situation other than like throw arsenic from his clothes onto them. But I don't know what Albert would do, but I'm guessing Albert is with Mycroft. And maybe Albert is explaining the situation to Mycroft. Maybe. I wonder if Albert's explaining the situation to Mycroft, being like, hey, this Milverton asshole is trying to do this and ruin our plans. Can you take care of him? And then when they find out that Sherlock killed him, Albert's like, see? Problem solved. Your brother did it. He's good for something. But yeah, Lewis looks really scared because he's like, if there's one person that my brother is afraid of / has a crush on, it is Holmes. I was hoping to see their absurd drama play out myself. But we're mercenaries. Yeah, and our job is to slow you down and buy enough time until the final curtain. So yeah, so Moran's like, well, shit. So the redhead kid is a mercenary too. So he's like basically somebody that can take on Moran. That's pretty insane to think about, that this meek and timid looking man is a threat to Moran. And Lewis is like, damn it. I don't like that my brother's up there with him. There's a single choice you can make. Milverton's like, the Lord of Crime has to be arrested by the detective. And the OP all makes so much more sense now. And he's like, Moriarty, if I die, I've made arrangements to have it reported in my media that you're the Lord of Crime. And it's like, no, you haven't. It's a lie. But if you're willing to go quietly, then I'm not going to say anything. Funny that, right? And I don't think that William cared. William's like, and in that moment when William looks over at him, he says, I'll transfer custody of you over to the government. At that moment when William looks over at him, I was like, William's like, bitch, I own the government. Like at that moment, I was like, William's probably thinking, oh, you're going to hand me over to the government? Scotland Yard's run by one of my men. I've got Mycroft in my back pocket. So yeah, okay, turn me over. So I feel like Moriarty was going to shoot him. That he was going to kill him because he's like, what have I got to lose? And it seems like Moriarty eventually wants his name to get out anyway. So he's like, I don't care at this point if that's all you're going to do. And then, yeah, just his look, he looks so disgusted in that moment, even though he says nothing. And then Milverton says to Holmes, he's like, unless you want your dear friend's precious wedding to be canceled, you'll submit to do as I say. And that's the one thing. Sherlock does not like to be bossed around. Sherlock does not like other people telling him what to do. He's like, how about we don't actually? And then Milverton's like, well, if you have any reason to doubt my word, and Sherlock's like, oh, we don't doubt you. And that shuts him up. He's like, no, we don't doubt you. You've planned ahead, right? He's like, your whole point was to create this situation, so I'm sure you've done your research. Uh-huh. And then he gets Milverton to admit that there's really no reason to blackmail Mary from the start. He's like some commoner girl with no news value. And that's when Sherlock's like, so yeah, you really didn't have anything planned. Because you thought that this was all just going to go your way. Right? He just wanted Moriarty out of the picture. He wanted Moriarty out of the picture, and so Milverton really didn't have a hand to play. He didn't have anything ready for the press because Mary wasn't of any substance news-wise, and he knew in his head, he was like, there's no way they'll not listen to my demands, so Sherlock's going to arrest Moriarty because of his moral center, and Moriarty doesn't want his name to get out, so he's going to let it happen, and that's that. And because he says there's no way you're going to stand face-to-face with a mass murderer and let the opportunity to catch him slip away from you. And Sherlock's like, yeah, but I don't want to do it under your circumstances and your rules. No. And I love that look on Sherlock. Sherlock and Moriarty, their eyes, they just both look like, we don't like this at all. This is not our style. And then the moment Milverton said, I'm in a position of superiority over both of you in every regard, I was like, they're thinking of something. And that's when Sherlock is like, yeah, no. Yeah, when he looks over to Milverton and says, "Are you finished?" It's like, He's like, "My word, you ramble on." And then they both point the guns at him. "You're not the king, you're the jester." I love it. He's like, "You've really misread the situation, Milverton." He's like, "You have no clue what I'm capable of." And he's like, "Excuse me?" And then that moment that William, and he calls him Liam. He says, "Liam, isn't that right? If you're here, then it is indubitably the case." And I love that Liam, I'm going to start calling him Liam. Liam looks over at him like, "Don't do this." Like he's wondering if he's going to actually go through with it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then him laughing. He's like, "Isn't it, Liam? I'm glad it was you. To be honest, I couldn't bear it if it wasn't you." Oh, I got such like Wei Wuxian Modao Zushi vibes. Like him saying, if it was anybody, it had to be you. Like, I would trust you, I trust you to be the Lord of Crime because you're that brilliant, right? You're that dazzling. It's like, oh my gosh. I don't know why. And William just looks like he doesn't have anything to say. "I wanted it to be you, and there's no one else it could have been." Sherlock's like, "This is all I dreamt of." This. And back on the train, he's like, "Wouldn't it be awesome if you were the criminal mastermind?" And he got his wish, which is why I'm truly pleased that you're the one here right now. Because he's like, that gives him resolve. He's like, I have the resolve to kill Milverton, not only because it's going to save John and Mary, but because it's going to save you too. And I wanted to save you. And it's like, ugh. See, I'm going to talk about William's statement at the end because I don't think it's true. And Milverton's just like, "Excuse me?" And it turns green. What in heaven's name does this mean? Don't tell me there's no way these two have been in contact. And this is the thing. They've not been in contact as far as Milverton's known. Since Milverton started targeting them, they've not been in contact. But what Milverton doesn't know is that they've met each other before on the boat. They met each other on the Noatic and had their little romantic cruise and their first meeting. And Milverton has no clue about that. He doesn't know about the train either when they met again on the train. He doesn't know. He severely miscalculated. Oh my gosh. Regardless of them being a detective and an arch criminal, it's the most unlikely pairing, right? And Sherlock says, "Liam, I want to rescue my partner who is about to be married. And I'm fine with whatever becomes of me in the process. How about you?" So the thing of it is, and this is why I don't think, because I think William's worried that Sherlock's going to come after him and kill him, but I'm like, I don't think so, because Sherlock's whole deal was that he killed Milverton to protect someone he cares about. And he cares about John, and so he did it to protect John. But he cares about Moriarty too. And I'm like, do you not get that, William? That Sherlock cares about you? So he's not going to kill you. No, he's not going to kill you. I think he wants to save you. But he doesn't want to kill you, I don't think. Because he's like, I don't know if William realizes that Sherlock cares about him or not. Because he's like, "Do you care if he reveals your name to the world?" And Liam, of course, is like, "Well, we were eventually going to do that anyway. So, nope, I always intended for that. So it does not bother me." And then we've reached our decision. Yeah, I was just like, and then Holmes calls him out about the evidence being public. And he calls him out that he like bites back his molars when he's lying and when he's nervous. He's like, "I've been watching you and I can pick out these little details about yourself and you just gave yourself away." I love this episode. It's so damn good. I was just, yeah. Whenever anyone sees through your true self, you're prone to clenching your back molars. Like you're doing now. I love it. And he's like, "What? What am I doing?" Oh my God. I love it. He's like, not wrong for both of them to make such irrational decisions. And then he steps out towards the window like he was gonna, I'm like you're gonna run away. I guess he was planning on just going outside into the rain and jumping in the ocean and hoping he made it. But Sherlock's like, "We're not